Hey everybody, welcome to the Tuesday edition of the Computer America Show. We're going to go live in about 3 minutes. Our guest, who was supposed to be here, evidently hasn't shown up. This is one of the reasons why I don't like guests calling in, for this very, very reason. But there you
But
go.
yeah, you give them the option.
Yeah, but
You're so accommodating.
yeah, I know. And then they don't show up, and then they'll say, "Oh, I was the wrong hour," you get all this thing. Oh, I'm sorry.
That's a good impression.
Yeah, really. And are you in the chat room yet? No, you're not.
No, my chat room's still
3
good.
minutes
That's right.
until showtime.
Well, anyway, we'll have computer technology news for both hours, assuming the guest doesn't show up, which I'm beginning to think he is not. And hey, Jonathan, in the chat room, just walked in. And again, last night we all the audio was being recorded on Blog Talk Radio in the archives. It's just that our guest and Ben couldn't hear it because I had Hangouts it configured incorrectly. It was which I thought I had changed, but evidently I had not.
Silly Craig. Silly Craig.
So anyway, it's up and running. And oh, there, maybe that's him. Let's see. Yeah, is that you?
Yes. Hi.
Hi.
How are you?
Why? We got 2 minutes left. Okay, so better late than never. Say hello to Ben.
2 minutes until showtime.
Hey.
Yeah, can you hear Ben? Hello. Yeah, can you hear Ben? Just say hello to Ben.
Hi, Ben.
Hi, here.
I'm sorry. I didn't know I need to press 1. I called the number. Okay.
All right. Yeah, well, it tells you to press 1 if you want to go on. Yes, exactly. Anyhow, can you hear my co-host Ben?
Hey, here. Can you hear me?
Yes, sure.
Okay. All right.
Perfect.
All right. Perfect. All right. Well, I'm going to put you on mute, but that means we won't be able to hear you when we open the show. It'll stop the background noise, but here I'm going to show you how that sounds. You're right now on mute, but you should be able to hear everything that we hear, but we can't hear you. Now I'm going to take you off mute, and then we can hear you again live. Did you hear all that?
Yes, sure.
1 minute until showtime.
Okay, good. Well, just sit back, relax. So we're going to have some show stuff, and then we'll get ready to start. Okay.
Okay, cool.
Okay. Okay. So okay. All right. So we're ready to go. Jack was asking. Okay. All right. Just give me a thumbs up, Ben, when you hear the opening music. No, when you hear the opening music.
Your voice is music to my ears.
Yeah, no. I want to make sure you get everything. The production. All right, here we go. 15 seconds.
Your show will go live in 5 seconds. 4, 3, 2, 1.
Broadcasting live, it's America's longest-running national radio talk show on computers, Computer America. Hosted by national columnist Craig Crossman. Look for Craig's weekly column in your favorite newspaper. This show is being beamed nationwide at ComputerAmerica.com. Keep it here for technology news, computer products, guest interviews, and your phone calls. You're listening to Computer America.
Hello and welcome into the Computer America Show. It's the nation's longest-running, nationally syndicated radio talk show on computers. Computer America is heard around the world and coast to coast. And I'm your host,
Craig Crossman.
And I'm your co-host, Ben.
All right, and we have production again, and tonight. That's right, all the great sounds are working tonight on the show. It was a technical glitch. It turns out that the archive on Blog Talk Radio and also everything we're hearing on the Boost Radio Network and the IRN Radio Network, all the networks that carry our show, all the audio was working. It was working fine. It was just there was a
It was
glitch
just on our side.
on Google Hangouts. Yeah, exactly. And that's because I didn't have the input correct. Now I know I had it corrected first, but I think when I took out the camera, it changed it, and that point I didn't put it back to where it was supposed to be, and that was my fault. So anyway, I know how it works now. Tomorrow we're going to try to do it again, and hopefully we'll have camera working and all audio working. But in the meantime, welcome into a Tuesday edition of the Computer America program. Of course, you can see everything at the Computer America website. Let me just say that if you have any comments, questions, anything that we're talking about tonight, you can always call in at 347-884-8881. That'll get you on and get you through. We also have an email address, live, L-I-V-E, at computeramerica.com. You can also join us in our live, interactive, add-on chat room. And you just go to you just click on the chat room/video button, and it'll take you to our single page that has both our chat room and our live video streaming. The chat room is really easy to enter. It'll just ask you for a username. You make up something nice. You don't have to put any kind of a password or anything. You know what it asks you when you don't need it. Click the sign-in button in your Java-enabled browser on a Windows machine, Mac, Linux. They all work. Will move you into the chat room. And you can also Skype us too. Our Skype address is Computer America, and that's all one word. But the easiest thing is just call us at 347-884-8881. Now, the other nice thing about it tonight is now we have our live interactive Computer America video streaming page, which is brought to you by Other World Computing. Quality products, expert support since 1988. Now celebrating its 25th anniversary. If you have any Apple needs, computer, software, hardware, hard drives, external hard drives, you name it, works on a Mac, please visit them at MacSales, MACSALES.com. They have the best prices going and wonderful support. Please check them out. When you go over there, tell them we sent you. It'd be nice. So we've got that now. Hour 2, we're going to have computer and technology news brought to you by Slimware Utilities. And that'll be in the second hour. And before I get on, I just want to, because this is like the third day that I have forgotten to announce the show reminder of the week.
We did that yesterday too. Oh my God.
Yeah, we did. We forgot it. So this week's show reminder winner, this was from last week actually. Yeah. Is Brendan Saunders. Yeah, Brendan Saunders. He wins the Logitech Wireless Rechargeable Touchpad T650. Valued at $80, and congratulations! You probably already have been contacted by Logitech as the winner. So we just had a number of things just go wrong, so we never got the winner announced, but now we have. And of course, we'll tell you in the second hour how you can get your name registered. Really simple to get in all of our contests. That's just that simple to do. So anyway, anything else you want to mention before we get our guests on the show, Ben?
No, I think we should get this started.
Okay, well, let's get started. Now we're going to be talking about cloud. Everything is in the cloud this day. The cloud this, cloud that. Everything is in the cloud. Cloud adoption is not just for the enterprise anymore, as there is an increasing number of people who are migrating to the cloud for the personal use. I mean, let's face it. Most everything I do is in the cloud. I know you do, Ben, right? Now, many people are using different cloud providers to intermingle their work and personal files, blurring the lines between work and home life. Now here, the BYOC, Bring Your Own Cloud movement, enters along with an important question, and that is, what kind of vulnerabilities are opened up by employees participating in this BYOC movement? Now joining us is the CEO of FireLayers, Yair Grinlinger, who says that the BYOC movement can cause unintended security risks and open up employers to vulnerabilities from these potentially unsecured cloud providers. Yeah, welcome into Computer America. How are you?
Hi, how are you? Thank you very much for having me.
Our pleasure, sir. So why don't you, in your own words, I say that, I know what BYOB is, that's bring your own bottle, but what do you mean by the BYOC movement?
Yeah, so I think you really said it well. Everybody's using many cloud service providers, great services, very comfortable to use. So when they do, work-related stuff, they want to use the same, great services. And a lot of times the corporate doesn't support that, so they just do what for them seems to be the most logical thing, is to use the same great services at work, and without any harm, and harmful intentions. They start to use services that expose corporate information, corporate infrastructure to basically a lot of different bad things, and the corporate many times don't even know about it.
And that can lead to, I mean, are they not supposed to do that? You're saying they're doing something when they bring it home, those cloud services that really they're using for work?
Yeah, let's take an example. Google Drive, for instance. It's a great way to share information. Many people use it at home. You store data. You can share with other people. You can store a lot of data. You can access it from any device. It's a great service. Then you go to the office. You have a lot of documents. You have a lot of people you work with from the office, from external places. You don't have a great way to share data with them because the corporate doesn't give you something as cool as Google Drive, where you can access from your mobile phone, from everything else. So you just start to store data there. You start to store corporate data there, and you don't notify IT because it's not an IT resource. So you start to share data with your coworkers, with your customers, with your service providers at work. And then Google Drive contains a lot of corporate data. Can be legal, can be intellectual property, can be customer information, can be a lot of different things. And then corporate really lose any kind of governance over this data. They don't know who's sharing it with whom. They don't know it's there. They have no backup for this data. And then, a lot of different bad things can happen, even from a simple mistake. Somebody can, by mistake, delete this data, but there's no backup to this data because the corporate doesn't protect this data, and then this data is gone. And not to mention that the employee can be at some point resigning or leaving, and the corporate data basically lives with the organization. And obviously, it can even end up being in the wrong hands, because you share it with all different people. You don't know who you're sharing it with. The lead ends up in the wrong hands, and then you can have a leak. It can get to somebody, either competitor or somebody who will steal the personal customer data and misuse it and stuff like that.
Now,
and all this time, the IT organization in the organization doesn't even know that it ever happened, because it's in the shadow. The IT has no visibility that Google Drive was used, and have no way to protect the data there or prevent the employee from using it.
Isn't there a way to copy all of your data from the Google Drive to another account, assuming that you have the authority to do that, and then so when that other account's closed, at least you have a copy of it, for your personal use. Assuming that everything, assuming everything in the that you're doing, from the business account is your personal. Obviously, they're not going to let you copy all the business data.
Yeah. So I think what we
I'm sorry.
No, I had Ben was asking a question.
No, I'm sorry.
No, that wasn't Ben. No, okay.
Oh, sorry. So I think that we're not pitching against cloud. I think cloud is a great thing. There's no way to stop cloud. The cloud is definitely need to be used and adopted by as many organizations as possible and as much as possible. But it also, like a lot of other great things, contain a lot of risk in it. And I think the question is not should we block cloud or should we say no to the cloud. That's exactly the wrong answer. That's actually what pushes and makes shadow IT even bigger, because when organizations don't actually offer cloud services to the employees are kind of forced to use their private devices, bring your own device, and access the cloud information, the cloud services with corporate data, and then the risk becomes even bigger. So I think the answer is definitely not blocking cloud services. It's actually the other way around. It's enabling cloud services. It's organizations need to offer cloud services to their employees. Actually, I think as many of them as possible, to make it very tempting to actually use the cloud services the organization is offering, but when the organization is offering a cloud service, it's secured. The organization can know, once it's a kind of corporate, official corporate cloud service, the organization can manage it, can know who's using it and when, and put governance on top of it. So once it happens, you can allow employees to use their Google Drive to their personal use, and Google Drive from the corporate to their corporate use. That's exactly the right way to use cloud services. But again, that's not something that happens today in most cases. Many organizations just don't allow cloud use, and then employees are just doing it themselves.
Do you think they're not allowing it because it's because they don't really truly understand it? Anything that we don't understand, we're kind of afraid of, that we don't, and that's why they're not letting them doing it.
It's a great question. I think there's a transition. We're in a transition period. I think a few years ago, many IT organizations thought, it's not something, it's not part of our IT infrastructure. We don't own it. It's not our problem. It's not something that we want to be being responsible for its uptime, for its security, because we don't have control over it in the cloud. And so many of the organizations just kind of ignore it, and I think we're hoping it just kind of go away or will not get to such a magnitude. But as a grassroots movement, people just have to adapt cloud applications, and I think we're at a point that the majority of IT organizations understand, look, we cannot ignore it, let's embrace it somehow. But then when they look at cloud applications and they see the way they are deployed and the type of control they have around it, they're worried that they don't have a way to own it and protect it and have governance over it in a way that they can feel comfortable with. So now they're between a rock and a hard place, because on one hand the employees want it and they understand they need to offer it, but on the other hand, once the IT organization say, this is your cloud service from the organization, now they have responsibility over it, and they don't necessarily have the tools to actually own this responsibility and and protect those cloud services and manage them. So they're in a tough spot, and I speak with the IT leaders all the time that share with me the same frustration. Look, we officially have no cloud services. We know that unofficially a lot of people use them, sometimes from their personal devices. So there's no way for us to actually enforce not using them. But we're worried that if we offer them Google Drive or anything like that, we don't really have the tools to make sure that those services are secure. And now we offer the service that is unsecure, unmanaged by us. We're in an even worse spot than we are now. So I think we're in a transition period on cloud services, and most of the organizations are still behind and kind of, looking for ways to embrace cloud services professionally and securely.
I would think companies that are much bigger, ones that have their own IT departments and whatnot, where employees are used to not having to deal with security. I mean, they just think, oh, they have an IT department for that. I just need to do my job and do my work and make sure I get it done on time. I would think those companies would be the most vulnerable to this, because then they're using, like you said, that they're using cloud services that that IT professionals they don't have access to, they can't control, they can't make sure that they're properly secure, but yet they're still using them. So they might take that mentality before of, oh, I don't need to worry about this. This is for work. We have people taking care of that. But in actuality, it's if they have a really weak password and they also they mingle work browsing with personal browsing and get infected with malware or something along those lines, I could see that that being the biggest problem. Would it what would it take to ease the transition? Would it be educating your employees, or I know they said it'd be hard to, but actually trying to enforce a specific cloud application?
Yeah, so I think it's a great point. It's exactly as you said it. A large organization be a problem. Employees are not used to thinking about security themselves. but they do want to be productive. I mean, it starts on a very positive place. The employees want to be productive. They want to use cutting-edge tools to be productive and to do stuff, faster and better. So that's how it starts. And the services are out there. Most of them are self-service. Many of them are free, at least at some level, freemium. So, the larger organizations have a bigger problem because you have a lot of employees, and the employees are not used to think about security themselves, as you just said. So then they're just going out there and adapting applications. I think, as you said, education is a great step, is a great first step. People need to understand that when they use cloud services, they expand the organization. And I think that's definitely something that organizations need to do. I think being forceful and brute forceful, it's always the wrong approach. You're trying to do stuff like blocking all services in the firewall and stuff like that, or just push people for, adopting cloud services in personal devices. So I definitely think that the first step of education is always the right step. Letting people know that when they do something like that, when they adopt a cloud application, here are the cloud application become a backdoor to malware. The data on the cloud application is exposed. If the cloud application have access to, money or infrastructure, then it attracts, and then bad people to take advantage of it. So I think people are not necessarily aware of it, and education is definitely the right step forward. But education without an alternative is just not going to go very far. Because if you tell people, look, don't use it, but we have no alternative for you, then they'll say, look, I don't have a choice. But if you tell them, look, here's a white list of applications you can use, and it will cover the most of the services you need, and you have all the cutting-edge cool applications there. But in those applications, we put forward security. Then you can say, stay away from all the other applications. I think employees will cooperate, and you as an organization have a lot longer leverage to actually enforce that.
Okay. So why don't we I'm going to take a little step back and tell us a little bit about FireLayers and what it is you do at FireLayers.
Yeah, so FireLayers is a platform that allows organizations to extend their governance over cloud applications. So everything from identifying, who's using what cloud applications, discovery, to actually enforcing rule sets and security over these cloud applications. It starts from very basic things in governance, like for instance saying, you're not allowed to use remember me in private devices, or or if you want to delete files from Google Drive, don't delete more than 5 files at a time without a two-factor authentication, for instance, basic stuff. To more kind of complex policies that enforce, for instance, malware scanning on any file go up and down from from cloud services. It restricts the type of access you have to sensitive data from private devices, and it can enforce encryption when you download or upload certain file type or data type, and so on. So it really allows organizations to take complete control over cloud applications and build the security policies, governance, compliance, and make sure that the corporate applications behave in the way the organization is satisfied with. We have kind of a predefined security packages for popular applications, Salesforce, Yammer, NetSuite, SuccessFactors, etc. But we also allow in the platform to customize any type of rule set to any type of application. So it's allow very granular, very effective control over cloud applications. As a matter of fact, probably better control and better protection than corporates have today in regular non-cloud applications. And we're part of something bigger. It's called Cloud Security Brokers, and it includes, for instance, IAM, Identity Access Management, which allow you to have kind of a single sign-on to cloud applications. So I think that there are a few tools out there today that really allow organizations to extend the governance into cloud applications and offer them securely, just like we discussed.
Right. So I mean, you really bitten off a lot there, and I just want to make sure that I understand. So does FireLayers actually work as I guess, a layer of protection, like a firewall? I mean, is this something
Yeah.
that's monitoring these individual applications on a one-by-one basis?
Yeah. So FireLayers is just like you said. It's a layer of security layer between the users that can use any device. You know, a mobile device, a PC, personal device, corporate device. That can use any device, and they can serve to any cloud application that they choose, the corporate choose to offer them through the cloud layers. We have different ways to enforce that. And once the corporate employee goes through FireLayers on the way to the application, we monitor everything that is going on, and we enforce policy according to the corporate choices.
So you work primarily with corporations. You don't work necessarily with the individuals. The individuals are the people in that corporation?
Yes.
All right. So the company hires your services or uses your service. Now, is this something that you have to send people out, or can they just go to your website and configure and set up an account? I mean, what is the actual process?
The actual process is IT organizations need to, they contact us. It's not a self-service quite yet.
All right.
They talk to us. We help them configure it. It's very simple configuration. It's really based on a SAML, and if you're aware of the protocol SAML, it's basically a single sign-on, platform that allow you to log into more or less every cloud application out there. So based on configuration that every IT organization, small to large, knows how to do, you can very quickly get to a point where all the cloud applications you want, are monitored by FireLayers, and you start to enforce your policy. So it's a very simple process. It doesn't require installing any software on devices or anything like that, and you can start work immediately. So
and you work with any cloud-based application? I mean, if they're using, let's say, Microsoft Office, which is now in the cloud, the 365, you can work with any of those. In other words, because the cloud service really doesn't know anything, doesn't need to know anything about it. All the configurations between the company and you, and you provide the interface that they go to the whatever services they're using.
Exactly right. And a lot of organizations today build their own cloud applications. There are platforms out there. For instance, Salesforce is a very popular platform to build cloud applications, and many organizations take advantage of it and kind of build their own cloud applications. So it doesn't have to be a public cloud application like SuccessFactors, Yammer, or any other one. You can use our platform to protect your public cloud application and your homegrown or customized cloud application that the organization has built. So any cloud application can be protected by this platform. A lot like a firewall, just like the firewall used to be the main platform that protects, the organization from the internet, bad guys coming in. So today the world changed a little bit. The data and the application, the services are out there. The users are using private devices, many different devices. So you need a different type of approach, and we provide that with FireLayer, again allowing full governance and control over any cloud application from any device.
So, if you had to, I know you talked about a couple of the vulnerabilities, but I'd like to go a little bit more into that. What kind of vulnerabilities are opened up? Let's say when employees bring their own cloud to work.
Yeah. So when we think about vulnerabilities, first of all, we think about them in three different main categories. First of all, obviously, sensitive data. So, you have sensitive data in the cloud. It can be intellectual property, employee information, customer information, a lot of different things. You don't have any control over it. That's risky, and a number of things, bad things can happen. I can get to it in a second. So, sensitive data protection and bad things with sensitive data is definitely one of the vulnerabilities we need to, take care of. And the other thing is infrastructure. Some of these cloud services manage infrastructure. For instance, our DNS is managed by a cloud service. That's also a very, very risky thing. We need to make sure that our infrastructure is in place. So that's a second category of risks we want to protect. And the third one is money. When cloud applications manage money, we want to make sure that the bad guy will not get to it. And obviously, a lot of them are interested in it. So when cloud application contains sensitive data, have access to infrastructure, or money, you want to make sure that you have governance and security over the cloud application. And what bad things can happen in each category, it's a wide range of risks. Everything from a malware attack on the infrastructure, or, on your sensitive data, that use a private device and a cloud application to get in, to a hacker, and a lot of different times it's just a mistake. Things that start as a mistake and end up to be a really bad thing. For instance, somebody's surfing the internet, going from a private device to a cloud service, download a document from a cloud services that contain sensitive customer information, maybe information about passwords or networking infrastructure information to the device. If this information is not encrypted, then on the same device you have a malware, or on the device you have a peer-to-peer, one of those P2P networks that somebody can scan and look for documents, and the document end up in the wrong hands. So a lot of different risks. Basically, all those risks that we were fighting against in the corporate, and that we build the corporate security stack to protect against, anti-malware, data leak prevention, firewall, all this security stack, it's gone when it comes to cloud, because the user is using a private device directly with the cloud application, and everything that we've built in security so far is just not in the picture. So we have to rebuild everything. We have to make sure that we know who's going to what cloud application when. We want to make sure that we know what types of data they're using, when they're accessing it. Do we need to encrypt it? Do we need to block it? Do we allow every type of interaction in every context, from every type of data, etc. When do we need to factor authentication? All of those things need to be in place in cloud application.
Wow, yeah. Now, you speak about policy-based security measures, and well, first of all, when you say a policy-based security measure, what do you mean by that? And can you give us an example?
No.
Yeah. Can you give us an example of what you mean by a policy-based security measure? Oh, he just got dropped. Oh my goodness.
That's fun.
Well, okay. Well, I'll tell you what. We're at the bottom of the hour break anyway, so we'll take a little break, and then we'll certainly get Yair back on the show. In the meantime, head over to computeramerica.com and check out all of our contests at computeramerica.com. We've got our show reminder winner of the week, and we hopefully will remember to do it this time.
And we'll announce that whenever we remember.
Yes, exactly. And we have our show reminder winner of the week, and we have our Logitech contest, which is going to be ending this Friday. And we will just go to our contest page at computeramerica.com. You can see everything there. It's real simple. It's all private. We give your information out to no one. It's all free. And I think we've got Yair coming back on. So we're going to break for commercial messages, and then we'll continue on the Computer America show. You listen to us on the Blog Talk Radio Network, on the Boost Radio Network, and the IRN Radio Network. This is the Computer America show. Ben and I are talking to FireLayers CEO, Yair Grindlinger. We will be right back.
Hey everyone, have you heard about the No hair removal device that's sweeping the globe? If you want to go weeks without shaving and get smooth, professional quality results, here's our favorite host, Cheryl, for No hair removal.
Thanks. Hey gals, I love talking about my No. It's this cute little hair removal system that you can take with you and use almost anywhere at home or on the road. No more expensive in-office treatments, painful waxing, and no more wasting your valuable time. Got unwanted facial hair? No has patented thermocon technology that works on all hair and skin colors, so it's perfect for using on all body parts. And now you can take advantage of this incredible risk-free trial. Get the No, the facial kit, a travel case, and a $100 discount shopping card, and you don't risk a penny to try it. Try the incredible No Hair completely risk-free. Call 1-800-953-5415. That's 800-953-5415. 800-953-5415.
Looking for a best friend? Brother Wolf Animal Rescue has your best friend waiting just for you. The mission is to protect and enhance the lives of companion animals and the people who love them. Their no-kill rescue shelter is open year-round, making it easy for people to adopt their best new friend. This year, Brother Wolf will find homes for over 2,400 orphan dogs, puppies, cats, and kittens. All have ended up as an orphan through no fault of their own. Brother Wolf has created a safe, nurturing environment where these special animals can heal emotionally and physically until they find a lifelong home. Their life-saving transport program brings dogs and puppies from overcrowded shelters in the south to rescues in the north where homes are easier to find. Brother Wolf Animal Rescue is a 501c3 organization. To learn more about their life-saving work and to make a donation, visit their website at www.bwar.org. That's www.bwar.org. Help to realize Brother Wolf's vision when no animal is euthanized for lack of a home.
Who's a good boy? Hello there, this is your London Minute. Voice memo. The clock's ticking. You've got 72 hours. Welcome to CryptoLocker. 8-month-old, no messing ransomware. Malware expert Joshua Kernell from Malwarebytes was explaining to me that CryptoLocker gets in your computer via a genuine-looking, enticing-looking email attachment. The crooks like using the trick of the double extension attachment, like PDF.exe. To the trained eye, seeing exe would ring alarm bells. To the untrained eye, it would look like an important PDF file to read. If the infected file is opened, certain files are encrypted, very often the Office Suite files. Only access to a public key together with a private key will open them. CryptoLocker leaves a calling card, a countdown clock on the desktop. System restore may help out. Cloud backups are another potential lifesaver. Failing that, there's 4 days to decide whether to reward crime and pay up. They want $100, sometimes $300. After 4 days, the private key is casually deleted, ending hope. CryptoLocker. Nasty, brutish, and short. For some useful links to CryptoLocker and its copycat ransomware cousins, see my Twitter feed. I'm at Computer Tweety. If you like the sound of the London Minute voice memo, the Talking Technology column, and you would like your company to sponsor me, get in touch via my website, loveyourcomputer.co.uk. This is Patricia Reichel for Computer America.
And welcome back to the Computer America show. Ben and I are, hopefully we have the CEO of FireLayers, Yara Grindlinger, back with us. Yara, is that you? Are you back on the phone with us?
Yes.
Okay, excellent. Actually, it's like I have a better connection now. So we're talking about bringing people who bring their own information to the cloud, to the using the cloud services from the company for which they work, and that can cause problems. And just for the break, I wanted you to explain what you meant by policy-based security measures when you say that, and why are these policy-based security measures the future of data security in the cloud?
So I think policy-based security, is here, and for many years. All the firewalls are based on rules. Who's allowed to do what? In the corporate network, coming in, going out. I think there's no difference to cloud applications. Organizations have particular needs, particular wants in terms of who's allowed to do what in each context in cloud applications. And it just need a tool to enforce it. So if you ask the CISO, what would you like to do in cloud application? They know what they want to do. They just don't have the tools to do it. So supplying the tools to do it is really our job. We're we're an infrastructure provider for their CIO and CISO, where they can build their cloud security and basically implement it. And I think they used to work like that, and they were just missing the platform to do it.
How did you get about doing this? I mean, how did FireLayers come about? I mean, did you see a need for something like this yourself personally? I mean, how did you get started?
It's a great question. FireLayers is not our first security company. We started in the late 90s. Our first security company was a Security 7, where we've dealt with active content inspection in the gateway. Later on, it was bought by Computer Associates, and it was part of the eTrust. So, kind of the first wave of security gateways that dealt in the organization, that dealt with the internet coming in. Then my second security company, I was the CEO of Port Authority Technologies that was sold to WebSense, and that was the DLP movement where it started, and eventually it was bought by WebSense, and today is one of the leading platforms to protect from data leak prevention, again, going out of the organization, in the organization gateway. So, my partner, Doron Gracie, and I were involved in computer security for the last 15 years, and we've contributed and helped build the corporate security stack. And then cloud came along, and we realized, oh my God, everything we've built in the last 15 years, together with a lot of other security companies, is irrelevant anymore. People are using their personal devices directly with the cloud application, and they don't go through all the security stack that organizations have built in 20 years. So we have to extend these capabilities into the cloud to make sure we include cloud applications in the security that is available. So that's how we started. And we started to speak with CIOs and CISOs for many years. And we heard the same story again and again. We had many of them say, look, officially, we don't have any cloud applications because I can't offer something I have no control over. So our policy is no cloud applications. And we heard it again and again and again. But we all love cloud applications, and we want to use them, and we believe that that's the future, the present and the future, and the kind of IT stay behind. So we felt that the big need, helping those IT organizations, offer cloud applications to their employees instead of, trying to prevent cloud applications. And that's how we started.
So if I'm listening to the show here, and I'm listening to it, and I want to use cloud services, but I'm working for a company, that won't allow me to use it. What should I do? Should I say to go to my manager and say, hey, you need to check out FireLayers, and just give them a call, and then they'll explain how to make all this happen? I mean, what's the process?
I think first of all, the employee should go to the corporate and say, look, say yes to cloud applications. You don't block us from using cloud applications. There are different tools out there that can help the organization to make cloud applications secure. Don't block us, enable us. Cloud application is the way to go. It's an effective tool for us to work. You cannot prevent us from doing it. So instead of us hiding it from you, go out there, use the best tools to protect cloud applications, but offer cloud applications. I think that's the first step, because IT organizations still need to hear it. I think a lot of CIOs, CISOs need to understand that they cannot block cloud, and they need to embrace cloud. Say yes to the cloud. I think that's the first thing. And then, IT organizations will find other tools out there that allow them to extend governance to the cloud and will offer, cloud application security to the employees. I think that's the most important part. And definitely, FireLayers, we will be very thrilled to help any organization do that. I think we're very critical part of the process of enabling cloud applications. I think the combination of one of the leading IAM solutions for single sign-on and authentication, together with governance that we bring, will definitely allow organizations to offer cloud application security without compromising, governance over it. They'll still be able to know who's using what cloud application. They will be able to know how the cloud application is being used, what risks they're facing, and will get the tools to actually, face those risks and mitigate them.
Well, do you think? I mean, and that's of course you never want to come to the people you work for and say, "Hey, you can't stop me from doing this." You probably want to find a little bit more diplomatic way of saying it. Um, eh, what kind of costs are involved for a company to implement the services of FireLayers?
I think traditionally security is thought about as 5% of overall IT cost.
Mm-hmm.
And I think when it comes to cloud is not much different. I think you should expect to spend about 5% of what you're spending on corporate IT cloud services.
Mm-hmm.
You should spend about 5% of that on security platform for those cloud services. And today, I think the average employee between Salesforce and some other platforms out there probably costs about, something like anywhere between 100 to 200 plus dollars a month for those cloud services. I think that 5% of that should be the amount of money you should spend on should be spent on protecting those cloud services.
It really seems like something you want to get ahead of instead of trying to play catch up or damage control.
Absolutely. I think this is a very critical, essential part of IT security today. Cloud applications, I think everybody realizing, is not a niche play. It's a very substantial part of every organization IT. Ignoring that will basically expose a very, very essential part of your infrastructure, data, financial information. A very big part of that is going to be exposed. You cannot afford that. You have to be, think forward, embrace cloud platform, and embrace security to cloud platforms. So it's very crucial, I think, in these days.
Well, okay. So now, we're going to wrap things up pretty much here, but I want to ask you, Yair, that I mean, we've discussed the problem, we've discussed the solution, we've discussed some of the hurdles that people might need to do all that, what do you see a little bit down the line? I mean, there's been such a change on the landscape of computing, from the days when people just had their own computers, and things have totally gone in a completely different direction, and it's just growing. Where do you see yourself or this problem in maybe the next year or maybe even 5 years from now? What direction do you think it's going to go?
I think if we look at the longer horizon, I think we see cloud as kind of the operating system of the future, and a lot of different applications, but also a lot of different devices connected to cloud applications, to cloud. It can be wearable devices, it can be corporate infrastructure, so a lot of hardware, your car. A lot of different things are going to be connected to services. I think there's going to be a lot of security work around it because everything that is connected to a computer, and definitely when it connects to the internet, immediately expose security risks. And our job is people who, from one hand, are excited about technology, love cutting edge stuff, want to embrace cloud, want to embrace personal, wearable devices, self-driven cars, all of those things, we're not against them. We think they're the future. We should embrace them. But on the other hand, we're also very much security aware. So our job is really to close this gap, to allow technology to run forward, to allow all those great services to be embraced and protect them. So, make sure that we help organizations, individuals to embrace technologies without worrying about, security.
Yeah, exactly. Well, if any of you listening up there are interested in pursuing this more, just head over to our website at computeramerica.com and go to our show notes page. There you'll find all of the shows, including tonight's show, which is May the 6th. And you'll see FireLayers. There's actually a link to it right there on the description, and you can click on it. You can go to the FireLayer website, And you can read about securing cloud apps and why you might consider using FireLayers and the different products that they have, like FireLayers Respond and Control and Analyze. You can see what they mean and how they work, and see if there's something is either it's for you or maybe your employer who might need to know about something like this to make your employer more comfortable in moving to the cloud rather than doing it the old-fashioned way. Yeah. By the way, where are you calling us from? You're overseas, correct?
Yes, we have an R&D center in Israel, and right now I'm in Israel in our R&D center, and we also have a headquarters in the Silicon Valley in the Bay Area in Redwood City. So we're in between the Silicon Valley and Israel.
Yeah.
And I'm frequently on the plane, so I live in 3 places: Silicon Valley, Israel, and a plane.
Oh my goodness!
You must like to fly.
Yeah, exactly. What time is it there where you are now?
No, I'm not on a plane right now. I'm in Israel right now.
And what time is it in Israel? What time is it?
It's really early in the morning. It's about what is it now? Almost 6 a.m.
Oh my goodness! Well, hopefully you just got up, or unless you're getting ready to go to sleep. But yeah, I want to thank you for staying up or getting up early, whichever, to be on the show and kind of giving us some insight into what FireLayers is all about. Again, you can go to the website and check it out for yourself, FireLayers.com. Yeah, thank you so much for being on the show with us here tonight.
Thank you very much for inviting me. Thank you very much for a great show.
All right, thank you. Take care. Have a good evening. Have a good morning. Have a good morning.
Good morning, too.
Good morning.
Bye-bye.
Good day.
Bye.
Very good.
And good night. All right. Wow. Israel.
I know.
Yeah, I didn't think it was
far away.
Far away. Okay.
Though he's not the first one that we've actually had quite a few guests from Israel, so.
Yes, we have. Yeah.
Apparently it's a little tech hub over there.
Yeah. Well, yes, I do know that. It is. It is a tech hub. You wouldn't think to when you first think about it, but it really is.
Well, you think Silicon Valley, you think Germany, you think that kind of thing. Not Israel, but
yeah, no. And he says they have offices in Silicon Valley as well.
Yep.
And he's the CEO. He goes flying back and forth. Anyway, again, check him out at FireLayers.com. So I think we should start. Let's see what happens. We should probably start doing some computer news. We got about 10 minutes, and we'll start doing some stories here on the show. All right. So let's start doing that now. Tonight's computer and technology news is brought to you by Slimware Utilities, the official optimization software of Computer America. You can visit them at slimwareutilities.com to clean, speed up, and optimize your Windows system for free. That's right. Everything at the Slimware Utilities website, absolutely free. There's no freemium model. We give you a minimal version, and then if you like it, then you can pay us with a full version, or companies give you the full version, but it's only for like 10 days. No. SlimmerUtilities.com, all the products there that help you to clean, speed up, and optimize your Windows system and back up your system, all of that is available, and it is completely free. So head over there, download all of the utilities at SlimmerUtilities.com. Use them all. We use them here at the Crossman household. They're absolutely wonderful. They're so easy to use. Check them out. Download them all. Use them all. It's going to make your computer run like it was new. It was getting bogged down over time. And you'll thank us for it. Really, you will.
Even if you don't think you use it, I just, as a general month-to-month maintenance on my computer, just run it. It may not catch a lot of things, but better it catches a few things progressively instead of at the end of the year, everything comes at you.
Yes, it does. Well, in the world of supercomputers, they're doing some. They're now in the. It used to be they were in the teraflops, and now they're in petaflops. This is that's floating operation calculations per second. The computers are just becoming so much more speedier. But according to this article in CNN Money, electronic blood could power computers. Huh?
Well, that sounds ominous.
Yeah. Well, engineers at some of the world's biggest tech companies are facing a problem, and that is supercomputers are becoming so powerful that they're in danger of outpacing our ability to power them. Sometimes it's all about the power, folks. To address the problem, IBM researchers are taking inspiration from a machine that's been around for thousands of years, the human brain. That's right. The brain is thousands of times denser and more efficient than any computer today because it uses the same network of blood vessels to transport heat and energy simultaneously. And this, according to Bruno Michel, a material science expert with IBM Research. Now, IBM's new technology, dubbed electronic blood, is probably decades from being widely implemented, but researchers have already demonstrated it in a lab setting. The fluid is charged with an electrical current and then flows to the computer's processors, which it cools while also discharging the electricity necessary to power them. Present-day supercomputers are so large in part because the immense heat they generate means their chips can't be placed too closely together. But if equipped with liquid-based cooling and power systems, they could be stacked three-dimensionally, allowing the size of the computers to shrink dramatically. Now, for a petaflop supercomputer, which I was talking about, capable of performing 1 quadrillion operations per second, I'm sorry, I can't even wrap my head around that. I
don't think you're supposed to.
You know, we say it, but 1 quadrillion. You know how big a quadrillion is?
Yes.
It's really big. Okay.
It's really big. It's incredibly big.
1 quadrillion of these operations per second, because they're in the petaflops now, takes up about half a football field. Well, using 3D chip stacking and electronic blood, IBM thinks that it could be reduced to the size of a desktop computer. Yeah. It just never stops. It's just going to go on and on and on like this. I mean, now he says it makes more sense to have the chips stacked. A spokesperson for IBM Research said, "What we want to do is to make water-cooled supercomputers of the future that are the size of a sugar cube." And all right,
that's a good goal.
Yeah, it is. At present, nearly half the energy of these facilities consumed goes to cooling the equipment using fans and other methods. In the U.S., data centers are responsible for more than 2% of the country's electricity usage. If the global cloud computing industry were considered to be a single country, it would be the 5th largest in the world in terms of energy consumption, okay, according to Hewlett-Packard's hyperscale business unit. In less than 20 years, researchers predict that the world's fastest supercomputers will theoretically be able to perform 1 trillion billion operations per second. 1 trillion billion operations. That's 300,000 times more than today. 1 trillion billion. Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
I still can't know. I can't grasp those numbers. The problem. Using current technology, IBM says such a computer would consume more electrical energy than the world can produce. Yeah, that could be a problem. He says, we need to make these supercomputers 10,000 times more energy efficient. And evidently, with this electronic blood, they may just put that. Can you imagine a computer the size of a desktop computer doing, you know, a quadrillion or petaflops? You know, that's 1 quadrillion operations per second. What?
I mean, eventually, a lot of what computers are today, they're restricted by the hardware that can run them. Mm-hmm. You know, so that's why you have, you know, compression on files. That's why, you know, a lot of the pictures you see, that's why a lot of the videos you see are, you know, compressed or compromised in some way. If, you know, again, admit it, that's the top end of the supercomputers, but think about just the average computer. At what point does hardware become a non-factor? I mean, eventually it's just going to be like, oh, do you have a toaster? Okay, you can toast toast. Do you have a computer? Okay, you can do anything that a computer that you could want a computer to do. You know, eventually you're going to hit that ceiling unless, you know, technology just skyrockets and you're going to need something that powerful. at a point it's just going to be a computer is a computer. It doesn't really matter what's inside of it.
Yeah, but I don't think there's any end in sight to it. I mean, because as we're continuing to deal with, and of course materials too. We're coming up with nanotechnology that's going to make things even smaller and smaller and reducing size. So size is also a factor. Between that and the computational power, I mean, the computers for the next 20 years, maybe even next 10 years, but certainly the next 20 years, we're going to see some amazing things happening with these things. I mean, the iPhone that you carry around today, that'll be like, the next supercomputer.
Well, the iPhone you carry around today makes anything that was built before before anything before 2000 look like a joke.
Yeah, right, exactly. And so that's what, 14 years?
Yeah.
So can you imagine? So where do you think we're going to be in the next 20 years? I mean, I might still be around, but
Oh, someone has high hopes.
Hopefully.
Well, Craig, we hope you're around too.
Thank you.
I mean, in 20 years, I think computers won't be around.
They'll be square.
No, they'll just be, everything will be connected and everything will be manipulated through computers. But as for, having a computer on your desk or a cell phone in your pocket, it's going to be built into our everyday life in some other fashion.
It's going to be
because they're going to be so small, so compact, so powerful in those smaller platforms. Why would you need something sitting on your desk?
Are you saying it's going to be like Skynet?
No, not like Skynet, and hopefully, curse the person whoever gets the first chip in the brain, but just, built into our shirts or built into, our accessories that we wear are going to be, computers, 10 times more powerful than anything we have today. So I think they're going to shrink, and just become so, strewn throughout our life that, houses are going to be automated, cars are going to be automated. It just every, refrigerators, delivery systems, everything's going to be automated, and computers are going to be everywhere, but at the same time, they're going to be nowhere.
They'll just be everywhere.
They'll just be you won't even think about it. It's just you'll just be interacting just how you would with a computer. Just it'll be your mirrors will be automated. That'll be how you control it. Everything will be voice activated. Computers will be all over the place. You just won't see them.
And you'll
just use them.
You won't even notice it. You won't say, "Oh, I'm going to fire up the computer." It's just going to be there. You do it. And,
yep.
Yeah.
Well, that's how I see it. I mean, in 20 years, it sounds like it doesn't sound like a long time, but in technology terms, it's
lifetime.
Yeah, it really is.
Yeah, maybe even 2 lifetimes because the curve, is exponential. It keeps getting. It was half of everything we knew. That was obsolete at every 20 or 30 years, 50 years ago, and now it's like half of
18 months or something.
Yeah, something like that. Every 18 months, it's almost the line is almost going straight up. It's almost completely vertical. Amazing technology. Anyway,
actually, I take that back. I take everything I just said back. I think AOL is going to make a comeback. You're gonna have floppy disks delivered to your house. You're gonna have the CDs for 20 plus hours for free
by drone.
I know, it's gonna be awesome.
Little drone will drop a little floppy disk.
AOL's coming back. Hold me to it.
Exactly. Well, we might just have to. All right, we got another hour of the Computer America Show and the silliness going on at the same time. Ben is my co-host in the absence of Charles Tendell. Supposedly Charles is going to be here tomorrow, and we'll see what happens.
We'll see.
Okay. But we got another hour of the Computer America Show. We've got stories such as Symantec declaring antivirus dead. That's right. And a bug in the new iPhone leaves it vulnerable, at least the emails. Those stories and more coming up in hour 2 of the Computer America Show here on the Blog Talk Radio Network, on the Boost Radio Network, and the IRN Radio Network. Stay with us.
Broadcasting live. It's the only national radio talk show on computers to air every weeknight. Computer America. Hosted by national columnist Craig Crossman. The first hour's behind us, but there's still more of tech news, tech talk, and your phone calls. We're being beamed nationwide at ComputerAmerica.com. You got computer problems? Bring them on. You're listening to Computer America. Computers run the world, and we run computers. Call us or send us an email to live@computeramerica.com.
Hello and welcome into Hour 2 of the nation's longest-running, nationally syndicated radio talk show on computers. Whoa, what happened here?
You all right?
No, we're not connected to. Let me see what's going on here. Okay, all right. Oh, we lost the Blog Talk connection. So let's see what's going on. This happens before. Okay. This has happened before. Let's see what happens this way here. Let's call in with this one here. There we go.
Since it appears you're calling back into a live show, we are reconnecting you now.
And welcome back to the Computer America Show. Here we're doing Hour 2 here on the Blog Talk Radio Network and the Boost Radio Network and the IRN Radio Network. Had a little glitch there, but we're back. I don't know if that glitch was because you notice how it's happened right at the top of the hour? I wonder what that was.
No idea.
No idea. And here we go. We're back, and I don't know how you're listening to us. If you're listening to us on the Blog Talk Radio Network, of course, also we're being carried on the Boost Radio Network and the IRN Radio Network. So hopefully you'll. But anyway, we're back, and hopefully all of you in the chat room are now hearing us again. But we're continuing doing our computer and technology news, brought to you by Slimware Utilities, the official optimization software of Computer America. And we're going to continue on with some of the stories that we sort of teased. And here's one. Symantec, obviously big in antivirus. They started with antivirus. It used to be the Norton antivirus. Symantec purchased them.
Yep.
Evidently Symantec today is actually declaring antivirus dead. That's it. Antivirus dead as it focuses on damage control. Now, given how hard antivirus software makers pushed you to sign up, you'd think that business was booming. Far from it, according to Symantec. They tell the Wall Street Journal that antivirus tools like Norton Suite are effectively dead. Wow, I never thought I would hear that. But it is. We've seen it come and gone. Norton was so huge back in the earlier days. Now it's basically dead. The utilities now catch less than half of all attacks, according to the Symantec executive. To him, the focus is on minimizing the damage whenever there's a successful hack or infection. To that end, Symantec plans to sell both recovery services and threat briefings to corporate customers. In the long run, it should also have technology that finds malware trying to imitate other apps. However, the developer can't give up its original cash cow just yet, which is antivirus packages like Norton. They still make up more than 40% of the company's revenue, and the new services won't safeguard your PC at home. You can still count on security software hanging around. Then just be aware that you may need extra software and a healthy dose of caution to stay safe. This again from Engadget. Wow.
I mean, when it's okay for many, industry analysts or, people who just like to comment on the news. It's okay for them to say, "Yep, antivirus is dead. That's useless now. Don't even worry about it." But for the company that made its name and it's their bread and butter, still 40% of their total income is still from antivirus. For them to say, antivirus is no longer a thing. That's impressive, or at least that means something.
Well, David Perry, one of our correspondents,
he's in the field.
He said it from the start. He said, how many viruses now appear on per day, new ones, hundreds of thousands every single day, new viruses coming out because these they've just basically made the antivirus world. They had to do something different. They had to come up with something different, and that's what's happening.
And actually, speaking of David Perry, he actually worked with a couple companies that offer different solutions than just simply antivirus.
Trend Micro, he was for the year. He's with a number of antivirus companies, and by the way, he is now with a new company, and he'll be joining us later on this month, toward the end of the month. He's coming back from, I believe it's Helsinki. He's going up to visit this new company, and he's going to be their education director, so the spokesperson, and so he's going to be back on the program telling about the trip and the new product for which he's associated. He hasn't given me permission to talk about it on the air yet, so I don't really want to spill any beans yet, but he'll come on and talk. And also, he's going to have lots of product to give away on the show.
No, always fun.
That is always fun. Exactly. All right, so continuing on our coverage of computer news. That was a story there. Why don't you pick one?
Yeah, I was about to say, you're about to pronounce all over me.
Yeah.
Craig,
yes.
I believe on the show we have talked about Bitcoin before.
Many, many times. That's Charles Tendell's one of his favorite topics is Bitcoin.
That's because he is so invested in Bitcoin. He is a theoretical millionaire if he could ever get someone to buy those. he has coins out the wazoo. So I hear. Well, with great technology comes imitators.
Mm-hmm.
So, of course, there's Bitcoin, and then there's another one that I'm currently forgetting of. It's like a
Dogecoin.
No, Shadow Coin. But this one, as you just jumped in, is called Dogecoin.
Oh, I thought it was pronounced Doggy Coin, but it's Dogecoin.
It's Doggy Coin, Dogecoin. It's whatever have you. Aaron calls it Dogecoin, my brother, and but I call it Doggy Coin.
Mm-hmm.
And Doggy Coin, if you've never seen the meme, you don't spend enough time on the internet. Good for you.
Dog. I mean, everybody's saying, "Oh, it's pronounced Doge," but then why is there a picture of a dog? It's called Doggy Coin.
Well, it's of a Shiba Inu, and and any dog lovers out there, that's the Japanese breed, very small dog. And like I said, if you spend any time on the internet, you get that so wow, much amazing, that poorly Japanese English translated exclamations all around the picture of the Shiba.
Mm-hmm.
And that got so popular that it has a little loyal a following, and that following actually parlayed that into their own version of Bitcoin, where it's the same thing as Bitcoin. It only operates as its own currency. So think, the difference between the U.S. dollar and the Canadian dollar. Mm-hmm. Same thing, just different places. Mm-hmm. But of course, just like the American and the Canadian dollar, the difference between Bitcoin and Doggy Coin is I'm pretty sure I've seen Doggy Coin go for about 100 Doggy Coins go for about 0.2 cents.
Okay.
So it's a very very cheap coin compared to Bitcoin, mm-hmm. which Bitcoin can go from anywhere from like $80 to $250 a coin. But Doggy Coin actually got all of its group mates together, all of its loyal following, and actually sponsored a NASCAR car.
Yeah, I'm looking.
And because they were the primary sponsor, they got to put the Doggy Coin digital currency on the hood of, let's see, which car was this? This was the 5-game 7 playoffs. Was the Aaron's 499 at Talladega Superspeedway, and it had the doggy on it. Reddit can be a force for good or evil at a whim, seemingly, but if you're going to exercise that kind of massive cultural pull, do it by putting a meme on a car. We are one step closer to a world where an MMA fighter rocks forever alone on his shorts. So afterwards on Reddit's Doggy Coin page, reaction was overwhelmingly positive for sponsoring the car. One poster hailed the result as a success and asked users to give Wise and the small Phil Parsons Racing Team a high paw, a nod to Doggy Coin's canine mascot. So the race started with 43 cars. Think about how many of those 43 teams are not one of the top big money brands that got the kind of camera plus announcer attention and an explanation of what the sponsor was about, hardly any. So this was viewed by millions around the country. Josh was in the lead pack for several laps and was noticed and mentioned more than once by the announcers. This was great exposure for the Doggy Coin, and curious people will do exactly what we wanted: learn what Doggy Coin is. So yeah, they sponsor the coin, and if you actually saw the race, on the tailgate is actually another picture of the Shiba
Yeah.
just looking at you sideways, very gopher-like. And so imagine you're going 200 miles an hour, breakneck speeds. Any small thing happens, and you could lose your life, or someone else could be seriously injured,
Mhm.
and you have a Shiba Inu just staring back at you as
Yeah.
you're tailgating someone. So and of course, Reddit was the primary push behind this,
Mhm.
and it hilarious.
It is hilarious.
Just the kind of mass cultural movement that a bunch of bored people can do with something that I guess they have to believe in it, but yeah, they sponsored a NASCAR car.
Very cool.
So
Right.
hopefully you saw that.
Yes, I did. And there's even a little movie or video you can watch.
There's a GIF.
Yeah, that's exactly. Evidently, this report just came out today from CNN Money. An iPhone bug was discovered that evidently leaves emails vulnerable. Now, Apple says it encrypts email attachments you receive on your iPhone or iPad, but it doesn't, according to a security researcher. Evidently, this German security expert, Andreas Kurtz, has discovered that anyone in possession of your Apple device might be able to access files sent to you via email, even if your phone is locked with a passcode. It's a major security flaw, but it's worse for people with older iPhones and iPads. It's less bad for folks with the newer ones. Since the release of the iOS 4 software in 2010, Apple has assured customers that files are guarded with an added layer of security. When you lock your phone, the email attachments in your phone are supposed to be individually locked too. Here's why. Even if hackers manage to grab your phone, hook it up to a computer, and bypass the passcode that locks your entire device, they still aren't supposed to be able to read the files. Email attachments files are a jumbled mess of letters and numbers unless you unlock the whole phone. Okay? But that's not actually what's happening, according to this Kurtz fellow. He said the files aren't encrypted that way. He was able to plug an iPhone 4 into a computer, go around the passcode, and see those files. There are several methods available to hackers allowing them to access an iPhone's files, even when it's locked and protected with a passcode. In theory, those files should be encrypted, appearing as a jumbled mess of numbers and letters. But Kurtz found that email attachments aren't, in fact, encrypted. He was able to access email attachments on a locked iPhone 4 just by plugging it into a computer and using some passcode bypassing software. Importantly, that method won't work on newer devices because they don't allow computers to access raw files. But the software flaw is still present on new devices such as the iPhone 5S and iPad 2. That means if hackers figure out how to reach those files, they'll find them unencrypted. This Kurtz guy is the co-founder of the Nesso Security Labs in Heilbronn, Germany, tested for the flaw in an iPhone 4, iPhone 5S, and iPad 2. He first reported on his findings in his personal blog back at the end of April. He said he reached out to Apple, and the company told him it was already aware of the problem. But when the company issued a software update to 7.1.1 and did not include a fix, Kurtz posted his findings. Considering the long time iOS 7 is available by now and the sensitivity of email attachments many enterprises share on their devices, I expected a near-term, patch, he wrote. Apple told CNN it plans to issue a fix in a future software update, but the company would not say when that would happen. Well, there you go.
So I guess I have to watch out for my iPhone.
Yeah.
A little unencrypted.
But you like your iPhone, right?
It's not bad.
It's not bad.
It's not a bad piece of technology.
No, it's not.
All right, well, this next story, apparently it's come to fruition. I've heard telltale of it, but of course I've been out of the loop for so long. Apparently it's rolling out. And this one from CNET, text to 911. And it's an FAQ, what you need to know. And I thought it'd be good to go over. Starting May 15th, Verizon, AT&T, T-Mobile, and Sprint, the 4 big carriers, will let you text police in case of an emergency.
Wow.
So here's how it works.
Okay.
Let's see. Beginning May 15th, wireless carriers will uniformly and voluntarily support the Text to 911, a program that lets you send text messages to emergency services as an alternative to placing a phone call. So let's see. What is Text to 911 and how does it work? It's a free program for sending a text message addressed to 911. That's the number you send it to. Instead of placing a phone call. To use it, you address the message to 911 and enter the emergency in the body of the text, making sure you will also add the exact location, or else emergency services won't be able to dispatch help your way. Since it's all SMS based, you will hear a response for more follow-up questions, or when help is on the way. So, who is this program for? It's useful for any situation in which it is dangerous or impossible to speak. Texting is also a useful way to help the younger demographic that feel more comfortable texting than calling. Kent Hellebust, a vice president at TCS, a company that sells texting management software to emergency call centers, told CNET of an incident in which a 10-year-old girl was able to successfully get help by texting 911. Apparently, composing a text felt more automatic and natural than dialing in. That's just a generation of today, isn't it?
Yeah, you would. I mean, wow. I mean, I can understand if you don't want people to overhear you, and you're in a closet somewhere, or maybe you're locked in the trunk of a car, or I don't know. Or,
that has happened though.
Yeah, and you're gagged or something. But the point is just doing now. That's. But I guess it's a sign of the times. Yeah.
People are, at least kids today are more used to texting than they are to actually, voice calling. So it's just another way. It's something that I guess needed to happen. And of course, which carriers support it? As we said, the big four. Other carriers could also join in the future. Will it work where I live? And all of the carriers have committed to supporting 911 texting in their service areas. That doesn't mean Text 911 will be available everywhere. Emergency call centers, called the PSAPs, Public Safety Answering Points, are the bodies in charge of implementing text messaging in their areas. These PSAPs are under the jurisdiction of the local states and counties, not the FCC. So, in other words, it's up to the call centers to receive and dispatch your text. Unlike the PSAP in your county first requires text to 911 support, implements the technology and trains the staff, you won't be able to text in an emergency. So let's see. You might want to check into your local call center and see if it's supported, because you could text all day, but if they don't have the trained staff or the technology to receive it, much better off calling in. So how do you know which county uses it? And there's currently there's an FCC list, a PDF, that shows all the counties that are currently using it. And I'm sure that's updated regularly. So check that if you're unsure. Let's see. Do emergency texts receive priority? And the carriers treat SMS text and 911 like any other text message, so your text will be subject to the same service speeds or delays depending on the strength. So if you aren't sure that your texting area is that stable, again, another thing to consider when if you're calling or texting, because if you can't send a text, you can't send a text.
Yeah, an emergency is an emergency if you can't get through. Well.
Yep, and so yeah, again, Text to 911 is a program run by the FCC and is partnered with the U.S. carriers. So the other telecommunication organizations also have an interest in the program. That said, it's the individual counties and states that determine when they give texting the green flag and exactly how they do it. There we go.
Well, now would you? If you had an emergency, would you use text or would you just call?
What about you? Would you use it?
It depends what my situation was. If I was in a situation where I couldn't speak.
There have been stories about and I'm sure it's kind of what gave this a little more oomph, to actually get this done. There have been stories about people who were supposedly unconscious, but then they regain consciousness in the back of a car, and they get their cell phone out, and they can't call, obviously, or else they'll be overheard, and they can text, and and they can track the phone and track text messages, and that kind of thing, and that has saved people. Now, would I use it if someone is breaking into my house? Yeah, if I don't want them to know I'm home, perfect. That sounds like the perfect thing than hiding in the closet and reenacting some horror movie of hiding behind the hanging clothes and trying to whisper your way to safety. But again, make sure you check before you start texting 911.
Yeah, that makes sense. Because it's still a voluntary thing at this point.
Still a voluntary thing, and beginning May 15th. So 1 week, or no,
So
9 days from now.
So if you make 8 days and you text and you're off by 1 day, they might not get it.
They might not get it.
Wow. Okay. Okay. We're doing computer and technology news brought to you by Slimware Utilities. Now this next story here on the show is something about. Oh no! Wait a minute. We did that one. I want to do this different one here. This one is coming soon. A better poison-free solar cell. These cells could get, that's one thing about solar cells, that they're getting more and more efficient, and evidently they have a new set now that they're getting smaller, and they're going to be without any toxic brain-damaging elements. This, according to CNET. New research seems to indicate that we can have more solar power without that pesky toxic lead that's being used to boost efficiency in the lab in recent years. Solar power has long been one of the darlings of the environmental movement, given its endless supply of energy that can be harvested by simply plunking down a photovoltaic panel under a sunny sky. Of course, we don't have an endless supply of roof space and empty desert floor on which to place those big clunky panels. This makes efficiency a kind of holy grail for those in the photovoltaic world. In recent years, new solar cells that use what's called a perovskite structure have produced some of the most promising advances in creating more efficient methods of reaping in as much juice as possible from our nearest star. There's just been one problem with this approach. It relies on toxic lead. So much for clean and green and not potentially causing brain damage. But now researchers out of Northwestern University say they developed a cell that uses tin rather than lead to collect the energy. And tin is much more harmless than lead. Our tin-based layer acts as an efficient sunlight absorber that is sandwiched between two electric charge transport layers for conducting electricity to the outside world. Okay? And right now the tin cells aren't quite as efficient as lead, but the researchers are confident they can have the potential to do so. So the author of the story says, excellent, I'll start lining up all my old tin cans on the roof immediately. That's how it works, right?
Probably not.
No.
Although, fun fact, if you line your roof with Pringles cans and connect them, you can actually pick up radio transmissions.
From where?
Just all around you.
Oh, I thought maybe from out of the solar system or something.
Yeah, no, I've never checked out the interplanetary,
Okay, go ahead.
sitcoms. You done with your story?
Yes, I am.
Perfect. So, let's do this one. The Google X. Apparently that was the Google convention.
Okay.
And unfortunately, the title is what caught my eye and broke my heart all at the same time. Google X had, sorry world, no Google jetpacks.
Aww.
Yeah, I know. So Google X, the search giant's secretive laboratory arm, considered creating a jetpack that wasn't a death trap, quote unquote. Its head, Astro Teller, said Tuesday, but the project lacked the kind of practicality that all Google X projects require to move forward.
Now, wait a minute. Is that his real name, Astro Teller?
Looks like it.
His first name is Astro, and his last name is Teller. Astro Teller. Okay, that's got to be made up. I
don't think so.
For some very cruel parents.
I think it's a cool name.
Yeah.
And plus, he has a cool job.
Yeah, yes, he does.
So, Teller, known as Google X Captain of Moonshots, that's also a cool title.
Yeah.
Its term for long-term projects to solve a profound world problem, said Google X will turn off 100 things a year easily, because the division aims for projects to fail early in the process rather than later. Noting Google founders Larry Page and Sergey Brin focus more on not letting things get fully birthed that don't make sense.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Which we've actually had quite a few guests on the show.
Yes,
Actually say that Google tends to just be too hands in too many pies, just all over the place, doing too many things at once. And I guess that's their, that's their strategy.
Mhm.
Just kind of go nuts. So, though the vast majority of Google's revenue and profit derives from the core search advertising business, as you know it, the company has defined itself by investing in a wide-ranging service and businesses that could position it to lead the world's biggest tech business of the future. So, Google X is the breeding ground for the most outlandish and ambitious projects of the bunch. So. And of course, it abandoned one of its earlier ideas, as we said earlier, a safety-guaranteed jetpack. And I know, it's so sad, but wouldn't it be awesome if we had jetpacks that wasn't a death trap? And the problem is that it's going to be so power inefficient. And Teller said that I just couldn't live with that. It would be as loud as a motorcycle.
Too bad.
I know. So Google X's underlying aspiration won't be met until we've started saving lives, and we're not there yet, Teller said, adding that some of the central considerations to Google X projects include how technology can be used to get technology out of the way, and whether a technology makes a user more human rather than less so. He said that two realms, that he sees the greatest opportunity are, you're gonna love this, agriculture and batteries.
Batteries, yes, because that's the heart and soul of technology, and why
Today's technology, yes.
Yeah, because we're limited by, not because we can do so much wonderful things. The thing is, the batteries we have are still from the 18th century, and they really need to be improved. Until we get batteries that will last more than than they're lasting now, we're severely limited to what we can do in the portable world. Absolutely.
Exactly.
Mm-hmm.
So, as I said, the two agricultural batteries. Agriculture is one of the largest and most inefficient industries in the world, and the source of the great portion of the planet's solid waste and carbon emissions, which also makes it one of the sources of the greatest opportunity for Google X. And batteries, quote, a 10 times improvement in energy density would change the world so radically we can't even see the ultimate implications.
I would tend to agree. You can get batteries that would last 10 times the amount that they're now.
Think about electric cars.
Yeah, exactly.
Lasting 10 times longer. A Prius that goes 2,000 miles on a charge instead of 200 miles.
What about an iPhone that would last 10 days rather than one?
Exactly. He's right when I say we wouldn't even see the ultimate implications. It's just batteries. We use them every day, between generators and solar storage and that kind of thing. It would change the world. So Google Glass was a Google X project, probably most intimately integrated so far with consumers, is working to become something that levels up your experience of the world, but all you have to do is put it on. Teller said, Google Glass isn't all the way there, as many people have said. And earlier Tuesday, Google X spin-off company Flux, which develops building construction software, said it raised $8 million in a Series A round of funding. So they're obviously getting things done. Google shares recently traded down 1%, blah, blah.
So,
So Google X, as much as you don't like Google, they tend to
why do we like
innovate for the sake of innovating. I keep forgetting which guest it was, just saying that Google, we had a guest on that said Google innovates and yet nothing really comes from it.
No, I remember that, but that was a while back, but no. It is a very innovative tech company. I mean, they're doing some amazing things.
Yep. So, I mean, if it's between batteries and agriculture, let's hope they do something right.
How about when we come back talking about a wireless charger that can juice up 40 phones from across the room? Wouldn't that be cool?
I don't have 40 phones.
And save time and money by printing your own makeup?
Now that could be useful.
Yeah, exactly. And Volvo's already has autonomous cars, mixing it up on public roads. Those stories and more coming up. Stay with us.
This is a special alert to all Americans who own a vehicle with less than 120,000 miles with an auto warranty about to expire or no warranty coverage at all. Due to a decline in the economy and major car companies filing for bankruptcy, Cover America Auto Care has announced revolutionary, inexpensive mechanical breakdown coverage that is now available to the general public to save consumers thousands on auto repairs. An open phone line has been established for drivers to call who own a vehicle that is less than 10 years old for a free 5-minute quote and to see if you qualify. The number is 800-483-2514. Drivers who are covered with this auto protection will not have to pay for a covered repair again. This is the auto coverage now sweeping across America at a fraction of what dealerships charge and is now available to the public by calling today. The number to call is 800-483-2514. 800-483-2514. That's 800-483-2514.
Don't complain about your cable bill going up and up and up. Do something about it. Grab a pencil and jot down this special number. 1-866-663-MY-TV. The more cable TV rates go up, the better digital satellite TV looks. So, disable the cable and get more of your favorite channels in 100% digital quality for less money. Call 1-866-663-MY-TV. Right now to sign up for packages starting as low as $19.99 and up to 4 rooms. And there's no equipment to buy. That includes your free HD TV upgrade, your free DVR upgrade, and your free professional installation. And the best part, the pristine digital picture and sound. Call 1-866-663-MY-TV. So, what are you waiting for? Pull out your major credit or debit card. Call 1-866-663-MY-TV. 1-866-663-MY-TV. Disable the cable, cut costs, and get more. Call 1-866-663-MY-TV. 1-866-663-MY-TV.
Hello, this is your London Minute voice memo classic. There may well be over 1 billion Facebook users, but how many of those accounts have been created under duress and in confusion? The following is a true story. It happened one afternoon quite recently. Hi Grandad, it's about time I got you on Facebook. I'll set you up now. All done. I've got to go, Grandad. I'll tag you in some photos later. We'll keep in touch this way. Bye. Grandad looked puzzled. What's tagging, he thought. He looked at his new Facebook page and found goofy and embarrassing things his granddaughter was posting. He wanted to cover his eyes. To make it worse, privacy settings weren't considered, and Facebook notification emails began to pile up in his inbox. What happened that afternoon were the actions of a well-meaning, sweet granddaughter, but it was the worst introduction to Facebook that I could imagine. If you like the sound of the London Minute voice memo and want your company to sponsor my audio column, contact me at my website, loveyourcomputer.co.uk, or I'm on Twitter, @ComputerTweety. This is Patricia Reichel for Computer America.
Welcome back to the Computer America Show. 33 minutes past the hour, according to my clock, and we are doing computer and technology news brought to you by Slimmer Utilities, the official optimization software of Computer America. And I believe it's Craig's turn.
Yes, we actually. Can you imagine this from device? Can you imagine a wireless charger that can juice up 40 phones from across a room? Now, so if you use a smartphone a lot, and who doesn't these days, you'll probably find yourself having to top up the charge whenever you get the opportunity. And that can be a real headache. So Korean researchers are developing a way to charge your phone just by being in a room equipped with a powerful long-range wireless charging system. The team from the Korea Advanced Institute of Science and Technology demonstrated the system that consists of 2 10-foot-long boxes backed with magnetic coils and ferrite rods. Using a technology called dipole coil resonance system, the prototype packs enough of a punch to charge 40 cell phones simultaneously, as well as larger devices like portable TVs and laptops. The technology is scalable, so a smaller version could be made for the home use. It's a development of technology developed at MIT several years ago called coupled magnetic resonance system. although the Koreans say that the new version is more efficient and has a longer range. The Koreans said that their hope is that a wireless charging will soon be as common as Wi-Fi hotspots, that people will no longer need to worry about finding places to plug in during the day. You just have to loiter near one of the base stations and your phone will pick up a charge. It would also fulfill a dream that electricity pioneer Nikola Tesla had over 120 years ago. That's true. I mean, this was one of the holy grails for him, and being able to transmit electrical power over the air. And that's always been a physical problem, a physics problem, really.
I remember the whole thing with the light bulb and far away and the radio waves.
Yeah, it's being able to do wireless power, transmitting power over the air has always been the holy grail. Physicists. This all sounds wonderful, but there are a few remaining questions that haven't been answered. Getting your phone charged without plugging it in is great, but will the magnetic strips on your credit card be wiped clean in the process? Will Grandpa's pacemaker go on the fritz the moment he walks into the room? And why does it even have Grandpa? I mean, anybody can have a pacemaker. And how long before airports figure out a way to charge you for the power that gets sucked up by your phone as you walk through the terminal? Well, I mean, those are not, pressing questions. I think the more important thing is to get the technology out there and then worry about whatever after that. So, with the exception of the health issues, obviously you want to make sure that whatever you're putting out there isn't going to fry a pacemaker. So, but other than that, I would think that this would be something very cool. Yeah.
This leads to, remember what we were talking about earlier with, where do we see computers in 20 years?
Yeah.
This leads into that, where they'll be everywhere, but you won't notice them.
Mm-hmm.
If you can wirelessly charge stuff, you wouldn't see cables anywhere, and you wouldn't be limited to an outlet. You wouldn't be limited to, wherever you could put a cord.
Mm-hmm.
It would just be, keep it in this general area. And of course, this is what technology we have now. Think about it, in 20 years, we could, charge, keep stuff running through the air all over the place.
Mm-hmm.
With better improved batteries like Google's working on.
Yep.
In 20 years, stuff's going to be crazy. Let's just put it that way.
All right.
Okay, so, Craig, you were talking about this last night in case, we were talking about bricking your iPhone in case it's ever stolen or anything like that.
Yep.
And you said, oh no, I don't have to. I have an app called Find My iPhone.
Yep.
Well, here's an article about just that. So if you've lost your very own version of Apple's most iconic mobile device, the aptly named Find My iPhone app can help find it, and has indeed led thousands of would-be victims to thieves.
Mm-hmm.
But that presents problems. What if they don't want to give it back? It opens up the opportunity for people to take the law into their own hands, and they can get themselves into really deep water if they go to a location where they shouldn't go. Mm-hmm. San Francisco District Attorney and former police chief George Gaskin said that, told that to the New York Times. There are many success stories. For example, the case of Sarah McGuire, a 26-year-old yoga instructor who tracked down her phone to an exurb of Los Angeles and got it back without incident. Mm-hmm. But cautionary tales also abound. For example, the one about a New Jersey umpire who attacked a man on an iPhone, thinking it was his device. Hint, it wasn't. Mm-hmm. If you lost your iPhone, officials recommend contacting the police. It is less advisable, they suggest, to arm yourself with a hammer, as one gentleman did. Yeah. All that would be more or less mute in the use of a kill switch, which we were talking about, which could render your phone useless to a thief. But debate has sprung up around this issue, as we were talking about yesterday, and I'm pretty sure they covered it too yesterday. So,
well,
as you said, Find My iPhone has led to people going almost vigilante.
Yeah. Oh, they're actually they have 6 other stories about vigilantes. You find my iPhone to, find your iPhone.
Exactly.
Exactly. And the point is, you could get yourself into danger.
And not just into danger, but legal problems.
Well, that too. Okay. So now you're the game enthusiast here.
No one said that.
Yes, you are. I said it. You are. Activision is, remember Activision? Well, they are reportedly spending $500 million on a single game. A single game.
Awesome.
Yeah, they're making a $500 million bet on a single video game. At an LA conference last week, the CEO said that his company would pour $500 million into Destiny, an upcoming massively multiplayer online first-person shooter being developed for the PlayStation 3, PlayStation 4, Xbox One, and Xbox 360. The game comes from Bungie, the makers of Halo, so it has a high pedigree and a mountain of hype. But the figure may still be unprecedented in the gaming industry, especially for a new IP. Activision did not respond to a request for comment. This again from Time Magazine, but typically lavish budgets are reserved for franchises with proven popularity. Last fall's Grand Theft Auto 5 was estimated to cost $160 million to produce. The Destiny figure dwarfs that, but an Activision spokesperson clarified to Reuters that the budget includes marketing, packaging, infrastructure support, royalties, and more. The spokesperson said that the game's budget will be roughly in line with other AAA titles. Still, the huge sum shows that Activision is hungry for a new massive franchise. The company's annual Call of Duty games have been selling less and less in recent years, and Activision sales and profits were both down in 2013. In an industry increasingly dependent on blockbusters, Activision is trying to position Destiny as too big to fail. Have you seen any previews about this game?
I've seen gameplay actually of it.
And what
And
do you think?
if anyone has ever seen Halo, think Reach or Halo 4 even. Think that kind of first-person shooter, and, and those kind of figures. Just the people with the big bulky armor and the running around with guns.
Mm-hmm.
And think of that with just many, many other people with many, many more enemies. Just everything you'd expect from an MMO.
Mm-hmm.
So it looks okay.
Just
Let's put it
okay?
that way.
For $500 million, just looks okay?
From the alpha, because I'm pretty sure they're still in the alpha. They're not yet in the open beta, at least.
Mm-hmm.
From the alpha I've seen, it's getting there, but I would need to play it before, because my gut reaction is to say, yeah, that's not too impressive. But $500 million, something there is going on.
Yeah.
So I want to play it first.
You would think.
I want to play it first.
Yeah. Okay.
Let's see, next story. Dell turned 30. Don't want to do that. How about we do Oculus virtual reality?
Okay.
And do you know what the Oculus Rift is?
Yes, it's a headset that you put on your head, and it allows you to literally immerse yourself into an environment digitally, virtually. So if you turn to the left or you turn to your right, it's like looking at the real world, but actually you're looking at a virtual world. And I know Oculus was being purchased by Facebook for to the tune of like $2 billion for this thing.
There you go. Yep.
Mm-hmm.
And it's virtual reality. It first made its debut as like the next big thing in gaming. Mm-hmm. So this one from CNN, and when Oculus, makers of the virtual reality headset, which as I said many view as the future of gaming, agreed in March to a $2 billion buyout, they weren't tempted by the success of Farmville or Candy Crush. Instead, they eyed the 1.2 billion people who use Facebook every month, with dreams of dropping most of them together into a new virtual world. And here's a quote: "With Oculus, if you're putting on this pair of glasses and you're going to be face-to-face communicating with people, and you're going to be jumping in and out of this new set of virtual worlds, this is going to be the largest MMO, massively multiplayer online community." Well, I guess that's what they call it, ever made. And that was Brendan Iribe.
Iribe, yeah, I guess.
This is going to be an MMO where we want to put 1 billion people in virtual reality, and 1 billion user and 1 billion person virtual world MMO is going to require a bigger network than exists today. Why not start with Facebook and their infrastructure and their team and the talent they've built up? So designing a team with strong roots in the video game world, the Oculus Rift is a headset that provides 360-degree field of vision, allowing wearers to view and react to the surroundings in a realistic manner. So, yeah, created by a 20-year-old Palmer Luckey, who I guess since he created it is now the proud owner of $2 billion. Oculus first turned heads in 2012 when it went to Kickstarter in hopes of making enough money to continue development, and ended up breaking in nearly $2.5 million from Kickstarter.
Wow.
So, John Carmack, the lead programmer of the pioneering games such as Doom and Quake, very good games, has since come on board, and the headset has been hailed by many, including CNN and Time, as one of the top inventions in recent years. But when Oculus was sold to Facebook, many in the gaming community were surprised. If they're going to sell, why not to Microsoft, Sony, or Nintendo? You know, the makers of the Wii, the PlayStation, and the Xbox.
Yeah.
But instead they sold it to Facebook. And it was, as I said, it was escaping limitations.
That's what he said it was all about. Yeah.
That's what he said it was all about.
Yeah.
While they're still very committed to gaming, they do not want to be a Game Boy, or do they want to be a Game Boy, or do they want to be an iPhone or an Android?
Mm-hmm.
He said, and he thinks that the Game Boy was an awesome platform, but he thinks you'll see handheld game devices largely disrupted by the mobile market and mobile devices. So he's trying to turn it from a little gimmicky, game system like he thinks the Game Boy is, even though the Game Boy very, very successful and still holding on strong. But he wants to turn it into something that everyone kind of uses and wants, which is an iPhone or an Android or a smartphone.
Mm-hmm.
So he's quoted here in saying, we started off with a big focus on gaming, which they still have, and since they're all former game developers, then looking at where the vision in VR is going in the next 10 years, it's going to be a lot about face-to-face communications and social.
So, because he said it would be a mistake to limit the Oculus to just gaming.
As he says.
Yeah.
Now, and I'm just going to kind of leave it off there. Well, they have a quote here saying that this avatar you're looking at, your brain will be convinced is a person, because it is, turning your Facebook profiles into actual living avatars. Mm-hmm. It's just the virtual representation of a person, but you'll be there going, I know that's you. It doesn't quite look like you. You're a cartoon, or you've changed your hair, but I can tell it's you, and your brain will be convinced. That's their goal, is to go on Facebook and have this huge billion-person, I guess, just giant hangout.
Mm-hmm.
And, I've heard from a lot of people, and I've asked a lot of people about this. They're like, last time I heard of technology like this, we had to get some guy called Neo to come in and break everyone free. It's very Matrix,
Mm-hmm.
Everyone in a virtual reality world where you believe it's real, but you don't know.
Mm.
It seems like the first kind of step towards that.
Yeah.
So, I mean, for them to assume that 1 billion people that are using Facebook are just going to jump on board and go with this virtual reality hangout video game kind of thing,
mm-hmm.
That's going to be a tall order.
Yeah.
I mean, Craig, you use Facebook. Technically, you are one of the 1 billion users monthly of Facebook.
Mm-hmm.
Would you buy an Oculus Rift just to look at someone's virtual, avatar?
I don't know. No, I would need it for more than that.
And I know you're such an avid gamer.
Yeah, well, yeah. I think the newness of that would wear off quickly. There would have to be many, many other things that I would have to do. So.
Virtual reality is coming, but honestly, I don't think everyone getting their own little cartoon avatar and talking in a big chat room, I don't think that's what's going to be, pushing it into people's homes.
Mm.
So.
Well, I know for gaming, you would probably like it.
Even then, the latency is the biggest problem right now.
Well, assuming they can get the technological glitches out, and you could do it, and it would work smoothly.
I mean, currently the lowest latency you can get on it, I think, is somewhere around 16 or 18. What's latency measured in nowadays?
Frames per second?
No, latency.
Oh. Okay.
That's whatever it's measured in. I'm sorry, I'm drawing a blank. It's still slow enough where if you're trying to do virtual reality, I mean, just thinking with your brain and your hand reacting to it, moving it over. If you have a webcam, you can see it's just instant.
Yeah, you need
and the closer you can get to virtual reality, and the longer that latency is, even if it's by like 0.1 second, you have that little bit of lag, it's going to just ruin the whole experience.
It would ruin it. Yes, it would. Yeah.
So, latency right now is the biggest problem.
Mm-hmm. I mean, how would you feel it in the real world is when you thought of something and started moving your arm, but your arm took like a quarter of a second longer for it to move than you thought?
There was a video that went out.
Yeah.
It was someone wearing an Oculus Rift and doing everyday things, like playing basketball, trying to cook breakfast, that kind of thing. I mean, it went from, and the only way they could see was using the Oculus Rift and a GoPro that fed them the video. And they still have full control of their arms and everything. They were trying to crack eggs, and they were missing the bowl because they were moving their arm, and they stopped where they thought, but the vision of their arm, wouldn't stop until like 3 seconds, 0.3 seconds later. So they were trying to crack eggs, and they were missing completely, or they were trying to put the pancake batter into the frying pan, but they'd missed the pan completely.
It needs to be instantaneous. There's no
question. So just that little bit of lag until they fix that, and that's a very hard thing to do.
Yeah. Hey, we've been talking about Google with their autonomous cars, but and they're making all the headlines. But did you know Volvo has autonomous cars that are already on public roads? This, according to the story from Device. It was only last winter that Volvo announced that it would begin testing its self-driving cars in Sweden. At the time, Volvo was planning on getting about 100 of the vehicles on the road by 2017. Apparently, the excitement has gotten to the folks behind the program as the first few autonomous Volvos are now joining their now archaic human driver counterparts on the road. That's right. While Google and a few others have already gotten a self-driving car or two on the road, there's a big difference between what Volvo is doing compared to the competition. Volvo's self-driving cars aren't in the hands of engineers or company officials. Actual customers get to, quote-unquote, drive them. The cars are approved to mingle with other commuter vehicles over about 31 miles of roadways across Gothenburg's major arteries. The pilot program is being supported by city officials and even the Swedish government, making Volvo's home country a real contender in the race to be the first country where cars drive themselves. After the first 100 people have had their hands off the wheel, and Volvo is sure that its autonomous cars are better drivers than any of us mere mortals, the real progress will begin. By the year 2020, Volvo wants everyone on the road to be safe from drunk drivers. No more falling asleep behind the wheel either. Physically, you'll still be behind the wheel, but you won't have to bother with it anymore. Is that cool or what?
That's the goal. I mean, just not having that human error in it.
So then in this car, you could truly text and drive at the same time.
Yes, I guess you could. That important, that mind-blowingly important text message that you just had to send and risk killing everyone around you, you can now do.
Yeah, exactly.
It would just cost you a pretty penny in the form of a expensive car.
Yeah, well, I'm looking at the picture here. They even show the guy. He's behind the wheel of the car, but he's driving. He's on a major highway, and he's not looking. He's looking down and doing something on a tablet.
Yep. I mean, they had this technology for years. Cars that would keep you in your lane, keep you from hitting the guy in front of you, applying the brakes automatically. This is just that one step further.
Yeah, and it's a huge step, though. No question about
it. It's coming, folks. Next 4 to 5 years, automated cars.
Well, I think we have time to do one more story.
One more story. Okay. Let's do this one. This one's outrageous and make you want to scream tear your hair out. Except Craig. He doesn't have much of that left. Anyways. Oh, I know. The only one here to laugh at that was you, and you didn't really laugh at it.
Yeah.
This one from Tech Hive. U.S. internet providers allow permanent congestion and want cash to clear it up.
Wow.
Yeah, so the major internet service providers in the United States are essentially holding their connections for ransom while letting customers suffer, according to a company that acts as a middleman for internet traffic. Now, any of you who are listening, you may notice around prime time, that would be about 4 p.m. to 11 p.m. nightly, you'll get this thing called packet loss, and that really affects applications such as streaming. Think Netflix or YouTube. That affects things like gaming, just any online game that's connected to the internet, or any other application that needs a constant internet connection. Packet loss makes you buffer more, it makes your latency go up, it makes just your whole experience just a little bit more awful.
Mm-hmm.
And during prime time, it's not unusual to see a 5% packet loss because everyone around you is also doing something, either they're streaming or what have you. They're also doing something, and you have all this data going through a small, going through a tunnel,
Mm-hmm.
and without it coming back to you as fast because there's so much congestion,
Mm-hmm.
that gives you a worse internet experience.
Mm-hmm.
Now, whenever that happens, you would think, oh, this network isn't up to par. As the company providing you the service, they would say, okay, we need to fix this before people get mad. Instead, they're saying, well, yeah, it happens, but unless we get money from someone, either our customers or the government or what have you, unless we get money to upgrade our systems, we're not going to upgrade it. You're just going to have to deal with it.
Mm-hmm.
So, and of course, all these accusations come from Level 3, which helps deliver traffic from content providers, such as Netflix, to internet service providers, such as Comcast.
Mm-hmm.
Level 3 has been measuring its connections around the world and found that the U.S. ISPs are the worst at allowing congestion to happen.
Mm-hmm.
So, it has all these peers that go through, and half of those, and half of the 51 peers that they have, 12 are congested connections due to a single port and those are all being upgraded. So they can totally upgrade and reduce this congestion, which would help the consumer, but they're waiting until they get, either backing from someone else or they charge their customers more, and they're just sitting and waiting to upgrade your experience, especially one that you're paying for. This would be why, if you're paying for 50 megabits a second during prime time, this would be why you would be experiencing speeds closer to 15 or 20 megabits per second.
Wow.
Just not anywhere near what you're paying, but they really don't care. So that's happening, and they're right to say they're holding it for ransom because they already shook down Netflix, who had to pay an extra fee to Comcast and Verizon.
Yeah.
One in February and one in April. They actually had to pay a fee, just so that they wouldn't get throttled by Comcast and Verizon. So they're shaking everyone down for money until they can't, and then they're going to upgrade it just a little bit. Just sneaky tactics.
Yeah. Wow.
Very sad.
Very sad. Well,
you don't seem outraged, Craig.
I am, but I don't have time to be outraged because we're pretty much out of time. But now tomorrow, Charles Tendell is supposedly going to be back. Okay.
He would be outraged.
Well,
he would show the appropriate amount of outrage to this article.
Outraged. But
60 seconds.
But Mike Cermak's going to be joining us in the first hour on our open mic night, and then the second hour will be more computer and technology news brought to you by Slimware Utilities. But then Charles is going away Friday again, so Ben will be back. So don't go too far away, Ben. Okay. All right. So that wraps it up, and hopefully we will see you tomorrow night. Again, thanks to our guest from FireLayers, calling us from Israel, telling us all about his product and how it is useful. And we will be back tomorrow night. So until tomorrow night, this is Craig Crossman hoping that your hard disk never becomes floppy. Have a good one, and we'll see you tomorrow night.
Good night, everyone. Glad to be here.
10 seconds. Thank you for using Blog Talk Radio. Goodbye.
All right, and there we go. Thanks, everyone, for watching the Computer America show. As I said, Charles will probably be back tomorrow night, and then we'll continue on for the rest of the week. So thanks again for watching our live video stream, and we will see you tomorrow. So say goodnight, Ben.
Whoops. Good night, Ben.
There he is. Bye.